Namaste. Greetings from Poland. Dzień dobry. My name is Rafał Lizut, and today we'll be talking about the currency. The currency for crisis and the crisis of a currency. Obviously, due to the time limitations, those will be just ideas and maybe some stimuli to explore the ideas further. This question about the currency for crisis is very difficult and on time for Polish people because we are on the border with Ukraine and Russia and Belarus, and we don't know what is going to happen. And it is important from both perspectives, like what to take if you have to run, but also what do you do if you stay. But it's not only this, we are facing difficult times in general, and I think that times will be even more difficult. We're talking about those who lose in times like this, although obviously if somebody is losing, somebody else is gaining. But today we will be talking about those common and everyday people who need to deal, and they are not big financial sharks. So today we're going to talk about stability, financial stability for a population, and how does it relate to the currency which is based on, and also talk about different technologies and asking whether the new technologies are better than the old ones, and for which purposes. So living in those interesting times that constitute a big change, like pandemics, but also the wars, we're thinking about the currencies and how they operate in sometimes form the whole social and political systems. Before I start to discuss particular ideas, I'd like to set a common ground by some maybe too obvious ideas. So first, let us talk about a function of money, of course, in the simplified version. So what money is supposed to do. So first of all, it's a medium of exchange that serves to exchange the goods and services. The second, measures of value. The third one is a store of value. The fourth is a standard of deferred payments. And the fifth one is a unit of accountant. So those functions are different depending of what do we want to do, and if we want to evaluate money, we need to understand that there is always certain criteria to evaluate this money. So we need to remember those are the main functions and the main criteria for evaluation. So if we discuss money, we need to distinguish different types of money. And again, very simple description. So first of all, we have the money which has value in themselves, and their value can be a precious material it is made of, or something else that is rare and used somewhere else. In the past, there were gold coins, silver coins, or other products that were used, like salt. Another is, so this is the first one. The second one is based solely on the social agreement, the so-called fiat money. And within this second group, we have physical money, so like coins and printed bills, virtual money. We have, and within virtual money, we have digital money, as now in banks, CBDCs, and cryptocurrencies. So those are the main obvious statement about this, but what is the current also situation with transfers, especially international transfers, Right now we have basically one system, and this is how the world trade is made of. It's a SWIFT system, and it's based on US dollars. So now that we are on the same page, that I set up the common grounds, let me share some ideas of this speech. So first of all, why do I think the situation is challenging for the existing system? So the first one, obviously, is the geopolitical situation. So war in Ukraine has really hit hard hryvnia, which is the currency of Ukraine, and it especially the value of it, and it especially affected those who kept some money for later. So I'm talking about everyday people who are saving, like, for example, some money for retirement. So what they were robbed of, so if we work, we basically exchange the most precious commodity, so time of our life, for something that in future maybe we can exchange for food. So if there is an inflation and we have earned that money, we're basically robbed of part of our life. So those people lost time they could spend otherwise, and maybe some health issues were developed during this work. So now they lost a big chunk of whatever they kept. So the store of value in this case, the function store of value, was mostly affected. The second reason what I think it's a challenging time is an economic expansion. So the current SWIFT system is based for international trades, and that gave US a very strong position also economically. But already many years ago, when I was in Africa for the first time, I have witnessed a situation where Chinese officials and traders asked the local to abandon the SWIFT system and trade directly in renminbi. So popularly it's called yuan, but we know it's not actually a currency of China. But at that time there is some technical issue with moving this money, so they would have to kind of, maybe transport it in bags or something like that. And renminbi in this case was also not very trustworthy. But right now the issue is slowly overcome by China. So digital renminbi can be transferred instantly as a CBDC, central bank digital currency. It can be transferred instantly everywhere. And this trust issue is slowly eliminated by backing renminbi in gold. So huge purchases of gold are visible in China, but also in India, Russia, even in Poland. So if I want to dethrone USD as an international currency of trade, I would probably start from making a technical platform to replace it, so it is now there in terms of China. Then I would buy a lot of gold to say that my currency is gold backed, and then maybe I would throw a lot of dollars on the market to depreciate its value. And let me remind you that China is the second biggest holder after United States of US dollars. So if they put all of this to the market, that can be a big crash. So then, if I'm Chinese, I would say, look, you shouldn't be trading in US. we have our currency is fast, is reliable, and it's backed in gold. So please abandon US dollars. We're going to offer you our own currency. So please, those who are keeping their saving in dollars, please look for the symptoms of this situation. So it is a good medium of exchange, but also a store of value and has its own functions. Another thing is so China is expanding. Another thing is the technological change. So another reason. I mean, there are more reasons, but those are just the main ones. So having internet, IT hardware and software for storing data and processing the data, blockchains for preservation of integrity of ledgers, it calls for change to use those benefits. So now that we have mentioned different types of currency, what would be the best in times of crisis? So let us take a look at the different types of currencies that I have, of money that I have already mentioned. So the first one is the one with its own value, like gold for golden coins. So in history, it has proven to support the economies that use them. So the economies that use gold coins expanded really. But it is like today, it would be unusable for some reasons as an everyday payment. It is difficult to carry, and that would be very difficult to buy, let us say, bread with gold. But if we have like a different purpose, like there were dual system like gold and silver, for example. So in terms of preserving value, so store of value, it works the best. Also, if you're in a situation when there is crisis and you have to run, physical gold or platinum or something like that, it's easy to take and just you can run away. Of course, provided there are no controls, it's not confiscated. But it's relatively light comparing to its values. So the second one is printed bills and coins. So we're talking about the fiat money, and the value of it is the social agreement. So if all goes right in society, the social agreement works. But if there is a time of crisis, it's just a social agreement. So agreements can change. And the other thing is, if it's not backed in gold, it means that it has unlimited supply, so they can produce, whoever can, they can produce as much money as they want to, which always results in inflation. So it kind of jeopardizes the function of the store of value of that money. And for government, it's difficult to track illegal transactions because can take bills and just buy something without the governmental supervision. And it's good or bad. I will not be exploring the idea, but it's just an observation that it's more difficult for the government to track this money. In case of large sums, it is also not convenient to carry. If you have to move a lot of money, it's difficult. So it's good for small and short-term transactions. So if you're not going to use to keep all of your money in printed bills and coins, that is still okay. But it's not as good because it has a physical form. It needs to be carried, but on the other hand, this physical form prevents from being out of the place if technical disaster, like somebody attacks the internet and or electrical system. If you don't have access to this, you can still carry physical money and use it in the place. The next one is physical money, digital fiat money. So the same kind of money, but kept in the ledger in a bank, for example. So it is a very convenient mean of exchange, especially if you have cards, bank cards or something like this. You don't have to carry cash, and it's safer this way. And for the government, it's much easier to track the citizens' transactions. And it allows the government to accelerate or decelerate economy of the country easier because they don't have to print anything additional. But still, the financial institutions like private banks are involved because you need to distribute money through loans, and supply is unlimited here. So it's a disadvantage because if we're talking about the store of value, if you add additional money, it loses its purchasing power. So another thing is that if you keep your money in a bank, it's IOU, so meaning that actually bank has your money, and it just promises you to give it back if you ask the bank to. But as we know, some banks collapse, and even in the beginning of pandemic, it was very difficult to withdraw any money. So a case of the so-called bank run may happen, and this is why some people do not, trust keeping all the money in banks, especially when difficult times come, and we can expect a lot of people going and just asking to withdraw their savings. The next one is CBDCs, or central bank digital currency, something that I have already mentioned in terms of China, but all of the countries are supposed to have that. So it has all the advantages of digital fiat money and almost all disadvantages. Almost because the government interventions can be without lag, without delay, since no credit or stimuli are necessary to introduce additional money to the financial circulation, and it can be also taken out from the market very quickly. And no banks are necessary, no additional banks. So one citizen, one bank account, and that is also not such a good thing, because if there is some kind of we cannot withdraw any money, we cannot keep some for difficult times, and if somebody is wrongly accused by IRS, for example, there is not even enough money to take a good lawyer to defend yourself. So because all of this is blocked, and then the government, whoever, politicians, they can trace every little spending of every citizen inside, and that is another concern. So if we add to this big data processing and cyber psychology, profiling and so on, that becomes an issue to privacy, intimacy, abusing power, and so on and so on. And if another country attacks and overtakes the central bank, which is just one, it has a power over every citizen in this country, like a financial power. Another thing, it's programmable, so you can program this money, so whoever receives this money, where he or she can buy the expiry date of this money or amount of the account on the same account. So freedom is really at stake over here. So the fifth one is cryptocurrencies, because there are so many, and this is like a huge topic. Let me just refer to the most recognizable one, which is Bitcoin. So it has advantages because the supply is algorithm controlled, and it's actually a deflationary currency. So there is less over time, so it gains its value instead of losing it. And but it has some disadvantages, except to countries like Central African Republic and El Salvador. It's not an official currency, so except certain place you can just go and buy things. And unless and it is also volatile, meaning that if we are looking at this from the perspective of pairs, of exchange pairs, like Bitcoin to dollars, it's very it's fluctuating a lot. Although what I said about possible situation with dollar, it may also be very unstable in the future. Its store of value long term has proven to be very good, but it's again a social agreement. So the investors decided by the local ones, like from today and maybe the next day and maybe in a week. It's very unstable, so it's not a very good. At least right now, it's not a very good currency to serve, for example, international trading, replacing SWIFT entirely. It cannot replace SWIFT entirely or become a global money because of this speed of transactions and the amount of transactions it can handle. Obviously, there are some improvements like Lightning system and ways to go around it, but I'm talking about like pure Bitcoin at this very moment. So long term, something to long term in terms of value, something to run with, because you don't even need to have like anything with you if you have photographic memory, or you can tattoo the keys or something and just run away. You don't even have to have anything with you, so it's okay. But it is still not mature enough to serve as a basic store of value or fulfill all the other functions for the rest of humanity at this very moment. And it's also environmental unfriendly, although it's not even comparable to the traditional banking system. So I have only outlined the possibility that are rather, there are of course other forms like barter, but due to the limited time I have just only presented the things for further discussion. So what currency is the best for crisis or war or disaster or like large-scale cyber attack? So the answer is, of course, it depends on the time of a threat and of the function that we are the most interested in at the moment. So like exchanging money, or maybe just keeping long-term value of this money. So if running from a war zone, it seems that the small amount of physical fiat currencies with possibility of working credit card or bank card is good for small transactions. For bigger, for like keeping like a larger amount of money, as I mentioned, precious metals or gems or something other is in place. I think the most popular right now is gold. And we should be looking at big players like the countries buying gold at the same time. For a small amount of cryptocurrencies, it's also an idea to have some because it's very easy to transport. And as an element of diversification, I'm not talking about basis, but diversification portfolio seems to be in place. For bigger savings, again, gold. Provided, of course, that we're not going through a border, then all of this is going to be confiscated. In case of technical problems, like like a flare from the sun destroying everything, is of course I'm exaggerating here, but let us imagine that internet is not working or electricity is not working as it should. It is physical currencies. Like bill currencies or coins for smaller transactions, and metals, precious metals, and commodities, precious commodities for bigger transactions. Actually, quite interesting is that during war or so, commodities like alcohol, strong alcohol, I don't know if it works for the whole world, but like vodka and cigarettes become also local currency items. In case of total collapse of a financial system, like the catastrophic events or complete breakdown of financial systems, the best are metal coins of local currency until the new system of exchange develops, and of course barter. To summarize, the choice is of course by the users. But in harsh times, the most advisable is diversification of portfolio, while trusting only one type of money, even if advertised and technologically advanced, does not seem like a wise choice. I hope we'll never have to make those choices and verify the ideas that I have just presented. Thank you very much.